Order. My name is Joe McGivern. I'm the chair of the Holyoke City Council's Finance Committee. Sitting to my far right is Juan Anderson Burgos, Councilor for Ward 6. To my right, Peter Tallman, City Councilor at Large. To my left, Will Powell, Councilor for Ward 2. Joining us shortly will be Councilor Jordan. This is a live telecast meeting on the Access Channel, also streamed, also on Zoom and being recorded on Zoom. We are, as a committee at the moment, not hybrid, so it will be normal voting for this procedure. We do have a lengthy agenda, including a supplemental budget, and we are going to do our best to be concise and to be as quick as humanly possible. That includes the members of the committee, our auditor who just came in, the mayor who's with us, our tax collector, our city treasurer, and the president of the union local from the DPW, Mike Gallagher. So the committee will be quick. The message is quick to everybody.
Amen.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to take item number 1 off the table for
Motion
discussion.
made, second to take item 1 off the table. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Under my name for the mayor, request a transfer of $10,000 from election officers to overtime, $5,000, and $5,000 repair and maintenance. Under discussion, our city clerk will not be with us this evening. I believe everybody received an email. Did anybody receive an email?
Yeah, I got something with the, yeah, I got an email from her that's with the
Okay.
packet. It's with the item.
Is it short? Can you read it?
Yeah.
Ask Councilor Tallman to read it into the record quick.
Okay, this transfer request will move money to the overtime account to cover the cost of overtime during the early voting and election day for city clerk office staff. Because this was a state election, we received a reimbursement check from the state, and it was deposited into the election officer's line. If you have any questions regarding this transfer, I'm happy to answer them Tuesday night at the full council meeting.
Are there any discussion? Is there any motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer.
Motion made, second to approve the transfer. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This will be referred to the full city council next Tuesday, December 6th.
Motion to take item number 2 off the table for discussion.
Motion made, second to take item 2 off the table for discussion. Make a suggestion, we combine that. Mike, what local are you?
United Public Service Employees, Local 444.
Okay. All right, item number 2 off the table for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This is an MOA that's been sitting in committee for some time, so I put it on the agenda. We'll get to you, Mike, in 2 seconds. And it's, I guess it's a little bit confusing because the law department is saying that the appropriations have been made. I don't recall making any appropriations or vetting this during committee. I know the mayor is going to explain it to us, and I know the auditor is going to tell us where the money is, possibly. Mayor?
The appropriation is the surpluses in the existing line item. So
In the budget.
funding's there, right?
Okay,
budget.
which is a good thing. The issue is there seems to be some confusion about even when the money is
Right.
in the budget ahead of time, but the MOA has not been signed and recorded with the city council, that we still have a chance to vote on the
That's right.
appropriations for
That's
the
why we're
MOA.
following this process.
Okay.
I mean, I know, so the appropriation's already in there because there are surpluses, so the funding's there, we don't have to transfer from anywhere or, you know what I mean? But
Correct.
we didn't go forward and execute because I know that you like us to come in front of you to review the contract and
Okay,
whatever.
and that's what we're hoping to do so that these people could get paid. Because right now they should not be getting paid because we haven't voted on it yet.
Well, they're getting paid a regular salary, not the
Well, we're not to the supervisors. We're not with the supervisors yet. This is the auditor.
I just actually wanted to point out, but there are some transfers that go along with this, this MOA, and it's items number 3 and 4.
Three goes with a different MOA.
Oh, is this?
Three goes with-
This is laborers?
Yeah, this is.
I apologize.
Yeah, three goes with the supervisors, and
Okay.
Boy, that's a deep.
four, I'm not sure. Does
Three
four
and
go with
four?
this MOA?
3 and 4.
Principal clerk stenographer?
Out of the sewer.
No, that's in the sewer budget, right? And then is that the
That's the sewer,
DPW?
but they also belong to the union.
Mr. Chair?
Jeffrey.
To our administrative assistant in the Wizard of Oz room, Jeffrey?
Yeah, just a couple of things I just wanted to mention, just so you know, Jeff Jones is on Zoom for item 2. Item 3 and 4 go along with the MOA that Lisa emailed to me yesterday morning that I emailed along to everybody today, and it's attached to items 3 and 4. So 2 separate agreements.
Understood. With us representing the United Food Commercial Workers, Local 1459, is Jeff Jones. Welcome, Jeff.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, I think, did you hear part of what I said or all of what I said? We're just looking to see what this contract is about, increases this year, future years, and any changes from the existing contract that this MOA may have brought about.
It's primarily changes in compensation. It's a 3-year agreement calling for a $1 increase each of the 3 years across the board, and that's the major difference.
And what are the increases?
$1 each across the board, every category. $1 in the first year, a second $1 in the second year, a third $1 in the third year. So $3 over 3 years.
Okay, do you have a rough idea? It doesn't really translate to a percentage raise, does it?
It would depend on what the category one is classified as to what the percentage would be. So there isn't any universal percentage increase that I could give you right now. I mean, I should say that I did not bargain the contract, but as president, I signed the contract.
Gotcha. Our law department is represented. Kathleen Dagan is here. Welcome, Kathleen. Would you be prepared to walk us through this MOA?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not privy to it. I have not seen it. So I apologize for that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Mike has seen it either. I know he's on, but I'm not sure if he's seen it.
Michael Bissonette, another assistant city solicitor's with us. Any chance you've seen this one?
Not before tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Are we paying anybody yet to our auditor?
We are paying the laborer. No, we're not. We are paying the laborers. The laborers was included in the original budget.
But we did not have the MOA for the original budget, correct? So that's not good business.
Understood.
Mayor Garcia.
Elisa's in her office, so we're gonna reach out to her, see if she can come down or zoom in, or so if we can just come
Okay.
back to this.
I mean, I want to say I'd like to see these individuals get paid, but I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is we got to get on the same page for MOAs and appropriations. And Mayor Garcia, you're the first mayor in maybe 25 years that has put money or let money be in the budget to be used for negotiations. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But we still, if we don't have the agreement signed when we act on the budget, we need to hold off until we get the agreement, vet the agreement, and say we're all in agreement. And I know it's confusing because it's the traditional way many, many years ago was if a mayor wanted to put money in the budget for collective bargaining, it was a separate line item. And then when the collective bargaining took place, the agreements were signed, they were forwarded to the city council with a transfer from the line item. Not just where they're assuming that the city council is going to agree with the proposal without seeing it. The committee? Jeff, is there any changes in this other than the dollar?
There might be minor changes, but no, it was done rather quickly. I think the main issue for both parties was compensation, and the main problem was the difficulty in hiring and retaining people in DPW, and so the proposal was put forward by the city that you have before you for the increases, and the union bargaining unit rather quickly agreed to it, and the vote was not closed.
Thank you. And to our auditor, Tanya, is there any chance you would have a total of the impact on the budget for this MOA?
I actually do. If I can forward it to you later, I could run over and get it now. I just didn't bring it with me, so I don't.
Well, we have a couple options here. We can forward this to the full city council. I just want to be prepared to answer questions, and I know one question will be how many individuals and what's the full impact? What was the full impact? Now, the good news is the city council has already voted on the budget, so we've, in that sense, we've agreed to it. So the money is there, and it's the future years that, looks like it's going to be roughly the same amount. Actually, it's not a dollar increase, so it's going to be the same amount of money. Maybe it's not a percentage increase in the future. It's
It is,
the
it's
same
the
amount
same dollar.
each year.
Dollar
Yeah.
Dollar figure, yes.
All right.
2 years in a row.
So what's the pleasure of the committee? Any questions?
Do you want to hold off till we hear from the city solicitor?
We can do that. We can make a recommendation, and if she gets online, we can always just start it again.
Yeah, that's the motion, I'll second that.
Okay.
All right. Which motion are you seconding?
So,
Tom.
Okay. All right. So we'll put it on the table, see if the city solicitor is going to be available. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Items 3 and
and
4 go together.
motion to take items number 3 and 4 off the table?
Motion made second to take item 3 off the table, 4 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 3, under my name for the mayor, introduced a transfer request of $12,529 coming from office manager to superintendent outdoor works, 2088, foreman highway bridges, 2088, foreman automotive, 2088, foreman recycling, 2088, and waste recycling coordinator, $2,088. For each of these individuals who are part of the supervising unit in the DPW, the total transfer requested on this order is $12,529. The second order, also introduced by myself for the mayor's sewer retirements benefits, $3,657 to the principal clerk stenographer. I believe that's at the DPW. Of the same amount, $3,657. We have, and just for clarification, we now have the MOA for this local somewhere.
Where's Lisa here? There's-
All right. Jeff, do we have a copy of the MOA for this?
Yeah, it should be attached to items 3 and 4. It's the very last page attached, all paper clipped together.
Yeah.
It's on your 3 packet, it's the last page.
Yeah, the last, yeah.
Yeah. Packet number 3.
Gotcha.
How we doing?
Councilor Jordan has joined us.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. For clarification to the committee and to everybody listening, this is local 424. The president of the union, Mike Gallagher, is with us. We have city solicitors, a lot of city solicitors here with us this evening. We have a transfer request that what I'm being told will honor this MOA, which we received today. The full city council has not received it. It was forwarded to us. Our vote for any agreement is on the appropriation, which then ratifies the contract itself. With that in mind, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. It's of my opinion and the city solicitor's opinion that we can go forward with this, with the transfer vote and the MOA, which we would have to agree to be able to use the referred to this evening as is explained to us for purposes of information. Is there any questions on that? Yes. You got it?
It's in the back, last page. There you go.
Okay. Yep.
Last page.
There's two, the principal stenographer, the other,
Three and four.
the other one that works for the DPW for the sewer. It's part of the contract too. I hear no objections to go forward, no questions. Okay, can I ask who's going to present, and Mike, welcome, who's going to present this for the city first? Our city solicitor?
Hi, I don't have it in front of me, but I can just go by memory. Maybe, Mike, do you have anything with you? You can help me out with a cheat sheet?
Do you want a copy, Lisa?
A copy.
I remember the most important part, which is the finances. Okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you. So there's some wording changes. The most important part was the wages. We are in a 3-year contract with a $1 an hour raise in year 1, a dollar an hour raise in year 2, and 2% wage increase for year 3. We added Juneteenth, which we've done for almost all of the unions right now. Struck some language. That's really about it in terms of what comes before the council. The financial part of it is really the dollar, the 2%, and the money, the transfers that were put in from the auditor are coming right from the DPW budget, is my understanding, from some empty positions that were not filled and have not been filled. So we're not asking for additional money. It's just money that's already in her budget is there to pay for this first year, which does go retro back to July 1st.
Okay. We know the impact for this year. Do we know the impact for, in the second year we know the impact? Do we know the 2% impact projected?
We do. I'm Miss Tanya.
I'm actually looking it up right now, so I apologize.
Okay, no, that's fine, that's
No,
fine.
it's totally.
It's just, I mean, 2%, whatever happens with the next 2 years is might not even be the cost of living the way things are
Right.
going.
I would also mention there's 11 people in this union, so it was a pretty insignificant. I mean, it wasn't like doing the laborers, which I think were more like 40 people. It's I think 11 in this union. Am I right, Mike?
With that in mind, before we go to questions and answers, Mike Gallagher, would you like to say a few things on behalf of your local?
Sure. Thank you for taking this matter up tonight. I know there was some confusion with what was getting on the agendas recently, and I have to tell you, I've been monitoring the council agendas and making phone calls, as Solicitor Bowell will attest to. And it was overall, compared to negotiations that I've been involved in the past, especially I had many years involved with the labor union, this negotiations went pretty well. The wage part of it, it's really straight out, we piggybacked off of what the labor force got. At the beginning of negotiations, the city was offering us a lot less, and we were looking for a lot more than what we received. And that's it. I'm sure you've heard that story plenty of times before, but the current economic climate, as we're all feeling the pain of, really had to push us to go as far as we could. And when we came to this agreement, we settled when we felt we had gotten as far as we could, and that the mayor wasn't going to go any further on the wage increases. And the part of the key dynamic, if we did not get a similar type of wage increase as the labor force did, a lot of the people that I supervise would be making almost as much as me. And that wouldn't be a good dynamic down the road either, to try and get people to move up the ranks, take the responsibilities that come with the positions. And that's the biggest part I have to say for it. I don't know if anyone has any questions for me on anything.
I only had one.
If you can hold on 1 second, Jeff Jones, did you want to speak on this one?
I think I already laid out a similar point to what Mike just said.
Okay,
I don't
I'm
know
just checking.
What else you want me to add?
No, I'm just checking out of courtesy, just to make sure.
No, thank
And
you.
I appreciate everybody. So we'll open up for questions. Councilor Jordan?
Yeah, thanks. Either Mike or Lisa, can you just go over, there's a section on hours and overtime. Is there anything interesting there or there seems like there's a lot of moving parts about paid lunch, unpaid lunch, the hours of the job, that type of thing. What happened with all that?
Well, me getting promoted and also Amy becoming the general superintendent, between the two of us, we seen that contract language did not match what the reality was of how things happened down there. The labor force for some time now has been on a paid lunch break, and what that entails is that they go to lunch, take the truck that they're in, and they go to lunch wherever they are. And instead of back when I first started for the DPW, I remember every day, 11:45, the trucks all rolled down to the DPW, and everybody left, jumped in their own cars, or went across the street to Amadeus for lunch or what have you. And that took a significant amount of time out of the day by the time people would get back to work. And none of this language was ever changed in the supervisor's contract. The supervisors just went about following the pattern of the labor force. And speaking for myself, my lunch days, my lunchtime, there's some days I could probably sit down and have a nice, peaceful, undisturbed lunch, and nobody would even know the difference if I was gone to lunch for over 30 minutes or not. There's other days I'm running through a drive-through, and I've got a portable radio with me all the time, taking phone calls, and so it's like we're not able to get just leave the job and not be able to be contacted. And the language also, it puts us in compliance with the state law requiring a 30-minute lunch period, and that if an employee cannot leave the job site, leave the employer's premises, then they have to be paid.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yep, makes sense. Okay, glad you guys cleaned that up. Obviously, I'm glad to see about the pay raises. I think they're much deserved. I think, we're actually hearing it from some other unions in town that are saying, look at what, they're getting $1 an hour, and this percentage and all this. But I think it needs to be known that you guys were way under market. And this was really long overdue. And I do not think in the past the DPW has gotten the type of increases it's needed. So I was glad to see that you guys in this deal, the arrangement was that, you guys did get the same as the laborers as well. So I think, and I was glad the laborers got it. I mentioned that previously. So happy to support this. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And Lisa.
Any further discussion?
It's nice when you can read the whole agreement on one page too. That keeps things real simple, you know. What was the piece about the principal clerk? Is that part of this, or is that something else?
Yes, the principal clerk, I'm looking at, I believe, is the position in the DPW that works with the billing for the sewer department.
Yeah, there's two principal clerks in our office that they're actually for as long as I've been there, they're paid out of the sewer budget. And from what I understand, they don't want to take money out of the sewer enterprise budget fund to cover that transfer, so they put the transfer through out of their sewer department retirement.
Oh, but they're a member of the supervisors union.
Yes.
Therefore, that's why they're here. Okay, makes
Yes,
sense.
Those two individuals, they work in the DPW's office on 63 Canal Street.
Yeah, when they broke those off, I remember when they did that, it was around the 2005 period that they separated them out, and used to be 20% of the superintendent's salary, and then these two positions were paid out of the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Tomlin?
Yeah, thank you. I had a chance to talk to Amy today, the manager, acting manager, and she stated that she wanted to keep this clean, where she took it out of the sewer retirement benefits to pay to those two employees,
Yes.
just to keep it separate from, the taxpayer money, because it's out of the sewer fund. So
Exactly.
So she mentioned that. She mentioned it'd be coming down, but it makes a lot of sense to take it out of that. And that sewer retirement benefits fluctuates because you don't know when somebody's retiring or whatever. So there's enough money in that account to pay these the clerks.
And to our auditor, we have an answer.
I do, I apologize. So, year one, 2023, additional 22,100. Same with year two, additional 22,100. And for year three, the 2% is an additional 13,625. Did you want totals as well?
Year three is $13,025?
$13,625.
620, thank you. And what else?
I didn't know if you wanted the totals for the years as well, or just the additional.
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. And just where the money's coming from for the clerk stenographer, I take it in the sewer retirement benefits, there's a surplus there?
Yes, there is.
And we know there's a surplus in office manager because of the juggling of what's been going on with the lack of the superintendent.
Yes.
Okay. Any further questions?
Make a motion that the item number 3 and item number 4 both be adopted.
Motion made second to adopt the transfer, therefore solidifying and ratifying the MOA. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Can I have my copy back, because that Wizard of Oz was very stingy with copies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you for coming down real quick.
Don't leave yet, though.
Did anybody update you on what the conversation was on item number 3, which is the laborers?
Item number 2.
Number 2?
Can we go back to number 2 and have her speak?
Yeah, we're gonna, can we make a motion to take off the table?
Second.
Motion made second to take off the table. This is between the laborers, 1459 of the DPW. Jeff Jones has already given us an overview, from his point of view. He did sign the contract. Obviously, the president is not here, the former president's here, but and the mayor has spoken, telling us that some of this money, or I guess all this money, was in the budget.
That's correct.
Okay, so what we're looking for is to ratify this by agreeing to the money being spent. Unusual, because what I said a few minutes ago was, for the past 25 years, we haven't had money in the budget for collective bargaining. And when we pass the budget, if we don't have the signed agreement, because it hasn't been, negotiated yet, we get to take like a second bite at the apple. And it's for more than one reason. Part of it isn't just the percentage increases. Most of it is language that, like Councilor Drain asked about the overtime. You know, we've seen things that have been in these MOAs that have given certain departments, not anyone here this evening, you know, increases that the city council should be aware of, because they're an impact on the budget, even though not direct into the appropriation vote. So we were just looking for some, you know, background information on this agreement.
So this, I'm not prepared for this, but this is the laborers' full contract with the MOA, so the 3-year deal.
Yeah, dollar.
So it's similar to the supervisors, other than it's a dollar instead of a dollar 2%. I just would say that the laborers, I think, would have a very valid argument that they were severely underpaid. We were having a hard time attracting employees to come work for the DPW. I think doing this has really made a huge difference in us attracting new employees, and I think things are really starting to turn around at the DPW, and I hope Mike would agree with me on that. But this was a good start, is to start to pay them a fair wage and a much higher wage than what they've been accustomed to getting. We just, you know, in speaking with the mayor, this was a big priority of his, is to start with not just giving everybody the same exact COLA raise, but to just really focus on the ones that needed to be focused on first, and the laborers were right at the top of that list. So we thought this was very fair, and this was a great way to get into a 3-year contract with them.
Language for temporary workers, how does that work?
I don't have the agreement, so what?
Mr. Gallagher, no?
Yeah, the temporary workers, they ceased using them when the temp agency significantly raised the fee for hiring the temporary workers, and I do not believe that contract ever got renewed. We haven't seen any temporary laborers. It's probably been they were gone sometime shortly after Amy took over as the acting superintendent, and they raised their fees.
There is a page for temporary workers that has been signed by Jeff Jones, you know, back in August.
Yeah.
It has not been used.
See, we voted on the budget in June, and this wasn't signed until August.
Yeah.
August, September, in some cases, the mayor in September.
September, yeah.
And do we know of any other language change that may have an impact on the budget?
Not that I recall. If I had the MOA in front of me, I would know, because usually that's
We got the full contract.
I know. The MOA is just I can try to find it on my phone, but it's just kind of a cheat sheet. I think it's just the dollar.
I'm not using it, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
You can't get any more than what the.
That's the key,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're just looking at the language for the temporary is I think the significance, and Jeff might be able to know this one, is that any temporary cannot be paid more than what a person in the unit would be paid, regardless of
Right,
what.
and it was exactly that, a temporary usage of workers. It wasn't meant to replace members of the bargaining unit. It was meant to deal with, I think, workers' comp situation, and I think one or two others, situations that may arise for the orderly flow of work in the department.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can-
Councilor Drain.
I believe from time to time, the need is there for temporaries, like the trash pickup situation. I believe that's when they were used, because we had to pick up the trash and we had people out injured, and we had gotten into that crazy crunch there this past summer where people were getting really concerned about. And so I do like this. I like the fact that, you know, whoever the temp agency is, you wonder what the workers get, because, you know, I don't know. This says, and maybe Jeff would know, I don't know, but it says the employees, the temporaries will not get paid more than what this is paid, but we're paying this company. So does that mean the company is getting the same rate as the worker is getting, but the employee, you know, those temp agencies, they skim money off the top per hour, right, for themselves. and the worker may not really see that. So say you're paying $22, the worker might see 17, or whatever it is. How does that, can someone answer that part of it is? Like, does the city pay the 22? Or we're paying 27, but the worker gets 22? How does that work? Do we know?
That would be whatever the agreement is between the city and the temp agency. We have a wide variety of contracts that, in other locations that call for the use of, or allow for the use of temporary workers, or sometimes it's called seasonal workers. If you're in the holiday season in retail and you want to bring a few people in, as long as it doesn't displace or take employment away from the existing bargaining unit, it's usually a no-brainer. You're trying to serve the needs of the business, and at a particular time, and in this case, we're talking about, workers that was mentioned earlier who are out injured and not easily replaceable, and you're trying to get the work done at the same time. So I'm not privy to whatever an agreement might be between the city and a temp agency. My interest is in protecting the bargaining unit.
Understood. So maybe someone at the mayor's office or somebody could forward to us, what does the city pay for temporary workers? That might be helpful.
I mean, I'm going to assume that we're paying a larger amount to the temp agency and the worker is getting less, but I don't know who has that agreement. If Amy has it,
It's
or
not pressing, but
Yeah.
when you get a moment, you can send that info along. That'd be just
Sure.
interested. Thank you.
Any further questions? Any thoughts?
Sounds good. What do we need to do? Receive
I-
it? or-
Receive the contract? Make a motion to receive the contract?
I think the motion to receive the contract, I think, is appropriate, because we've already taken the vote on the budget.
The money's already there, right?
Yeah.
Next year, when the budget comes in, we're gonna do a lot more questioning to that mayor.
We let him off way too easy.
But I mean, I think it goes without saying, we know, and we agree with Mayor Garcia, we agree with the law department and the presidents of the locals and Jeff Jones, that we need to do a lot more for these individuals in the DPW. It's been too long, and this, although it's nice to see, it's still just the beginning, I hope. Motion that the contract was received.
Second.
We'll just let the city council know we did talk about it, and then we'll refer it back for the archives. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. At least you got a chance to answer one question on the budget. Supplemental budget is next. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to take item number 5 off the
Off
table
the table.
for discussion.
All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. This is the supplemental budget submitted by Mayor Garcia as the right to do. Mayor can submit a supplemental budget as long as there's monies available for appropriation up and to the time that we set the tax rate, which we hope is next week. I got the quick question to the city solicitor before we talk to Mayor Garcia is, and maybe the auditor may know the answer too, is we have line items before us, both plus and minuses that the mayor has submitted. During our 45-day period for the regular budget period under Mass General laws, we have line item control where we can cut a line item, never add to anything, but we can cut the line item. Do we, under this supplemental budget, still have line item control? And the real question I want to ask is, if we take no action, does this budget go into effect, or is it null and void?
oh, geez, that's a
That's a mouthful.
that wasn't the question I thought was coming. I thought you were going to ask me about my budget. So you're asking whether or not you still have the ability to cut from this budget?
Yes. Well, we have ability to disagree with the mayor's proposing of adding an appropriation
Sure.
into the budget. He's very unusual, is also, and commend him, taking money out of the budget where he's identified surpluses halfway through the year. Usually mayors will just let those sit until the end of the year, and if they're not transferred, they become free cash. So we can cut the line items. My real question is, if we don't do anything, what happens? Does the mayor get his way, or does it just not happen?
I think if you don't do anything, I would assume it goes through.
That's what happens during the 45-day period. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
And the auditor is saying, maybe not.
No?
If you don't actually have to vote on the supplemental budget at all, and if you do not vote on it, then nothing happens. It just, you can return it to me, or you can sit it on the table.
Okay. I think we're going to take votes. I just wanted to
course.
make sure we're on the same page. City Solicitor Lisa Paul, thank you very much. Go home to the kids.
Thank you.
Does Tanya want to weigh in on the line item we can edit? Say there's five, Tanya, if there's 5 items, normally, as you know, in the regular budget process, we could cut item 2, item 4, item 6, or whatever. In this, do you believe we also have that authority that we can amend it
Yes,
downward, obviously, not upward?
downward, yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
So what we have before us, and this is the second time we've had it on an agenda, first time we've attempted to take it up, is a supplemental proposal by the mayor. We now know, both in the cover letter that was presented by Mayor Garcia and a follow-up to Councilor Jordan's question of more detailed explanations for each of the line items in the proposal. There are close to 30 line items in the proposal. I think it's more of a 60-40 split of additions and subtractions. The auditor was good enough to give us a working document, so we don't have to go through every page of the budget itself. We're welcome to use the budget itself, but a working document that will allow us to go line item by line item. Maybe some, if we can vote on, if we're ready, the bottom line figure, or we can go through it, and if we're not in any disagreement with the mayor, we could still vote on the bottom line figure, or we can single out a line item and disagree with the mayor. Tanya, are you looking for a vote on the reductions if we agree with the mayor?
Yes.
Okay. That'll be interesting when we get to that. Mayor Garcia, you've given us a wealth of information, and we do commend you for not just your transparency, but the way you're approaching the budget. It's been a pleasure for the first, almost 6 months of this fiscal year to have and I'm not, criticizing any former mayors, but to have you, this close to your budget and working as equally close with us. To the committee, is there any questions? How do you want to do this? Still a long agenda. I'm not suggesting anything.
Well, I like the cuts, so I won't be giving you any pushback on those. So
we can get rid of the cuts real quick. We disagree with them.
On the other hand, some of the ones that are increases, I would like to, have just a little brief explanation dialogue on those. For me, it would start with the treasurer's office. They're requesting an extra 110. Then there's a couple of these other ones here.
Okay, why don't I suggest
It's a handful.
that is everybody comfortable with the reductions? Any questions on them? Any questions from any department heads on their budget being reduced? Department heads who are with us, or department heads who are brave enough to say so in front of the mayor? Seeing nothing, the chair would just make a suggestion that we adopt the line item reductions proposed by the mayor. All
Second
those
it.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And Tanya just heard that, so I think she's comfortable. Now, do we want to just single out what we want to talk about?
Well,
Okay, so
there's not.
Councilor Jordan is looking at the treasurer.
Yes, yeah, Mr. Chairman, there's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the school department one, I think, is just sort of statutory.
The
There's
school
ma-
department is most important as far as a vote by next week.
Yeah, there's really only like 5 or 6 increases, so it might be just behoove us just to kind of go through the 5 or 6 increases.
We
and
can do
be
that.
done with it.
The total increases are, Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong, $309,784?
Wrong.
Yes.
That's correct. All right.
Increase.
Okay, so we'll quickly go through the increases. If you go on your worksheet, the first increase I'm seeing is education and training, I got an object code. I'm not sure what department, but it's 2,500.
Oh, I was actually,
Where are you?
that's,
This is the worksheet at the back.
The worksheet in the.
We only got this week.
oh, okay. They didn't put it in the packet?
Should be number
I
5.
asked for it to make it easier.
Oh, all right.
With number 5.
Because I was just going by treasurer's office, this one. Let's see here.
Down to education and training, $2,500. Do you know what department?
Where are you?
How
Oh,
much
I
is
see,
$2,500?
$200. See, this doesn't,
Where,
does this
on
have
the
the-
sheet right here? That's the purchasing department.
Purchasing. Thank you.
And that's actually a little less than 1,000 over, so you might be able to cut there because we had a candidate we were looking to bring on as purchasing director, so we were gonna cover costs for our existing assistant purchasing and then the new purchasing, but we don't have any candidate, so we don't have to worry about covering any education and training costs there. So in the summary, the bullet summary, the numbers are there. If you add it up and then take that number and subtract it by the 2,500 is the number you can feel free to cut.
We can cut 2,500 now?
Yeah, so in the summary page that we bulleted for you, if you add up, I think it's like 3 or 4 different numbers, their costs to take the test with the state and whatnot to become certified.
You may keep the summary page.
I got it somewhere. This one?
No, there's another one.
Gee, I wish we kind of went they gave us all the departments. We don't want to just do it by department, or?
We'll be here till tomorrow.
All right.
I mean,
There was only 6 departments.
it's up to the
yeah.
committee. Oh, if you know which departments, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Them summarized. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So he's requesting that we add 2,500.
But we're
It's
not,
currently funded at 500. Your budget request supplemental asks to add 2,500 to put it to 3,000. So now you're saying you don't need that?
I need that.
I'll tell you right now. Can I come in?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
by all means.
So you're always welcome.
Always.
It's $515.
You know, the treasurer is welcome, the tax collector is welcome, OPED is welcome. You're all welcome.
That's the one we're on right now. That's what it currently has, and he's saying give 2,500 more to 3,000.
Yeah. We don't need it now, right? Now we subtract. He was adding it, but now he doesn't need it. He said. So we have to
So
take it out. Oh, no. Good talk.
Okay. So procurement training course. There are 3 required courses for the designation to be Mass Certified Public Procurement Official. The 3 courses include 1, Public Contracting Overview for $595. Add these up. Design and Construction for $695. Supplies and Services and Contracting for $595. You got those 3 numbers? After the 3 courses are complete, there's a $100 fee at the AG's office. So if you add those up and you subtract that from the 2,500, we don't need that difference because we were planning for onboarding, that we were going to cover some courses to be certified, but that didn't fall through.
Okay. So how much do you need, Mayor?
That's 1995, it looks like, that total. I think. 15.
So you have a budget currently of
85.
500, and you need what, 2,000?
2,500 minus
I got
So
95.
maybe we can cut 1,000?
Yeah.
2,000?
Try it again. 3 nines. Is it, or 100?
You're cutting like $515.
Maybe it is.
Off of your request.
85, okay.
All right. I'll make a motion to reduce 2,500 to 2,000, just a round number, yeah.
Motion made second to reduce the $2,500
To
down to 2,000
Extra.
extra.
No.
2,000, it's a 2,000 addition. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. One down.
Okay.
Can we do it this way, or do you want to go by department?
That's fine. You might as well just.
All right, so the next increase on the worksheet is $200, education and training. Our code is 53190.
And what department is that? That's the only problem with this sheet. They don't give you the departments.
What was the code? Ends in zero?
So, yeah, 11,412.
53190.
Organization is next one, right? 11412. We look at the codes.
11,412, whatever budget department that is.
Don, you know what department we're in?
What number are you looking at?
$200 education, training.
That's assessor's department, an increase of $200 for education training to pay for an Excel course for the head clerk.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Motion to adopt. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Land court expenses, $80,000.
That's the treasurer's office.
That's under the treasurer's office. Treasurer Rory Casey is with us. The mayor's with us.
He's got two of them, an 80 and a 30.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about them both, please.
Okay. Absolutely. There's two in a row, 80,000 for land court, and then the 30,000 is for liability, penalties, and interest.
Kevin, did you get that too? There's a brief page on that too, explaining it.
That's what I couldn't find.
Yeah, that's right here. It was number 5. It's the email from the mayor. Email from the mayor, 11/16.
Yeah,
Must be in the packet, right?
yes, it is.
Find it?
Yeah.
I got it.
Well,
we
we're
didn't
going to
get
get it from the horse's mouth right here.
Aha.
Got it?
Yeah,
It is in the packet here, yeah.
okay.
All right.
Rory, welcome.
Thank
Would you like to walk us through, or with the mayor, what these increases are about?
Yeah, so the land court expenses, this is actually right-sizing that budget line. The narrative that I shared, but certainly for the general public listening right now. Prior to COVID, the pandemic, this line was annually budgeted around $100,000. Due to a few things, tax titles weren't being aggressively handled in the office. I know that's something that's been talked about, as well as land court itself really slowing down to a halt during the pandemic. The budgets just didn't require this level of spending. We're back. Land court's back open. The tax collector, who I know is going to be coming up soon, is doing a wonderful job and has recently handed us over 3 years worth of tax takings. Normally it's 1 year at a time. So we got 3 years all at once, and it's great. So just to put it in perspective, this 80,000 primarily goes to actual court expenses. We recoup that if it's a land court case that we settle, they come in and they pay. We, of course, charge them the legal expenses that go along with it. Right now, just to file a case in land court, it's $310. We have actively, what do we got? 338 active tax title cases right now. Some of those are in land court, but the majority are not. If we were to just drop all of them in land court right now, that would, that number would get blown out of the water. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a very strategic approach on how we want to attack this. And just to put it in perspective as far as what it means, when you look at the investment that the city has made by budgeting this line appropriately, around $100,000 annually, we're able to then bring in much more than that through our back tax collection efforts. So that's what this is, and that's why we're requesting this money right now.
Any questions?
Make a motion be approved.
I'll second.
A second to approve the 80,000 and the 30,000?
No, 30's a whole nother cup of
80,000.
tea.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. $30,000. Penalties, interest,
So,
tax liability.
yeah. So this is a good one. 30,000
Yes.
penalties from the
Yes.
IRS because
Yes.
we didn't do our job.
Well, so
Is a good one.
this is a good one, and actually, we need to address this later in the supplemental budget. Is a request in the personnel office that dovetails actually with this as well that we can talk about if you'd like. But this is a fine penalty from the IRS. This budget line exists because the city has, on a somewhat, unfortunately regular basis, received these penalties and fines. It is, as you said, Counselor, because whether we've missed a filing deadline, things weren't filed appropriately. A lot of this particular charge actually dates back to 2015, an issue with the ACA, and when the city had to file additional paperwork related to employee benefits, namely health. We have tried to negotiate this down, and I will say that an hour before I was sworn in, I was summoned to a phone call with the IRS. At that time, they told us we were on the hook for close to $600,000. I have spent much of my time, my short time, in this office working to get things up to date, refiled, been working with somebody from the IRS to do this. And thankfully, we've reduced that number down to one penalty that's about $25,000, another one reduced down closer to 10 right now. I'm still negotiating that. When this came up, when the supplemental was being put together and the mayor requested, I cited this because I knew, if nothing else, they told us all options for appeals on that first dollar amount have been exhausted. There's nothing else we can do. I've had a lot of success with the additional penalty, so I got that down to, like I said, closer to 10,000 right now, and I'm still working with them. Hopefully that number's only going to go down. It wouldn't go up from where we're at right now, and I'm still working through that with the IRS.
Questions?
Councilor Jordan.
Rory, and again, you're new, so this didn't happen on your watch. But then again, we have other people who have come in here to tell us about other tax penalties. What should citizens think about their treasurer's office when their tax money that they work exceptionally hard for, many of them are paying at $4,000, $5,000 a house on average in Holyoke. And now 6 of their whole annual property taxes go to pay a penalty because somebody doesn't do filings on time. What should citizens of Holyoke think about their treasurer's office?
Well, I think that it really speaks to the complexity of the office, which is something that I've talked about the few times I've been brought in front of the council in this role. And what's really interesting to me is somebody who actually had worked in personal tax preparation for a number of years. When I'm dealing with some of these withholding filings, which are very high-level type things, I've talked with people who are bookkeepers. I've talked with people that I know are payroll professionals, both in government and outside of government. And the response that I've gotten pretty much is, wait, you guys are doing your own filings for the 941s? Why would you do that? We outsource that. That isn't something that most organizations, as large as us, all the way down to a mom and pop business, do. Now, should the taxpayers be happy? No, nobody should be happy that we're being fined by the IRS. What I can say, and this is something the mayor talks about a lot, we really need to look forward. The past is the past. We certainly have to address issues that have come up in the past. This is case in point. But moving forward, we are working on a number of different strategies to avoid anything like this from happening again. And I honestly couldn't sit here right now and tell you that in a year from now, are we going to find something else that happened 3 or 4 years ago that we're going to have to deal with? I don't know right now. I couldn't tell you that. I'm trying to go through everything. This process has really opened my eyes as far as how things had been filed. And some of it really boils down to a timing thing. It's unfortunate that the IRS penalizes any organization, municipal, for-profit, nonprofit. Some of these, it's not that things were done incorrectly. Some of it's a timing issue. Now, certainly the bulk of this right now, the $25,000, did have to do with things weren't filed appropriately, or some information wasn't provided to the IRS. And then, in turn, the city hadn't been as responsive as the IRS would have liked in addressing that. Now, the penalty I'm negotiating right now has to do with timing. We are required, because of the size of our government, the size of our employee workforce, and the amount of tax liability, withholdings that we take out of employees' paychecks and then have to pay to the federal government. If we have to pay that on the next business day and something comes up and they got it 2 business days later, they may charge us a penalty because of that. So it's not to say that there's been a abject dereliction of duty or somebody really dropped the ball. Some of this has to do with the timing of the way money flows. However, if we know that is an issue and we build a process around that to avoid that from happening in the future, that's going to, help strengthen us, as a city as a whole.
Now, do you think the IRS begins to lose its patience when you continue to make the same errors over and over again, that in fact that we've actually probably exhausted any goodwill that we would have had with them, in that we see these penalties are becoming routine? So I guess if I was the IRS, I would say, gee, I really feel bad for poor old Holyoke, but at some point you guys got to basically do your job. And what's interesting is that we're how old of a city, and how long have we been paying employees and withholding? It's like after all these many decades, we still haven't gotten it right yet. We just don't know how to hit the button or have a system there that's organized that we actually pay these people their money. And it's sobering that, I think we were here earlier in the spring and we had Ms. Chakowski here telling us about a $25,000 penalty. And every time that we hear the speech is, we don't want to look back, we want to look forward. What am I looking forward to? The next time you'll be in looking for another $30,000? Because every treasurer that comes in gives the same, we need to look forward, we can't look back. And then the next person says, but I'm looking forward, I'm not looking back. At some point, when do we all look back and say, can we hit the button on time? And it's just this type of thing. It's unacceptable. And the question is, where is the accountability? Whose job was this to do this? And are they written up? What accountability is here? One of the other things, and I know there's a discussion going about giving people more vacation and the Schedule A and all this. I've asked for a basic thing like, can we have performance appraisals? We have none. It's the only job probably in the world that you can go and there's no performance appraisals, right? So is there a performance improvement plan for the employees that were involved in doing this, if this is somebody's job? Or is it just, $30,000, we'll just print more money?
Well, a few things. The first, I would say that as far as the IRS is concerned and being in their good graces or not, my experience in many different
arenas, having to deal with the IRS with some pretty complex issues. When you stop responding to them is when they have an issue. And when you work with them, when you talk with them, when you answer the call, when they feel that you're being responsive, that you're actually addressing the issues that are being brought up, that's when they're willing to work with you. And case in point, one of these things was the city wasn't responsive at a certain point, or they didn't feel that, the IRS didn't feel the city was being responsive, and they say, okay, you've lost any ability to appeal this any further. Fast forward to now with this much larger issue that we've now reduced. That's because I've been extremely responsive, but that's just me now. To your question about who's ultimately responsible for this, I'll sit here right now and say that ultimately, and I have respect for many of the treasurers who have come before me, but at the end of the day, just like any department, it's the department head's responsibility. For these cases, was it an employee or who was responsible for it? Well, it ultimately fell onto the responsibility of the elected treasurer, which is one of the reasons we're looking to move away from that. Now, as far as how do we ensure that this doesn't happen in the future?
Right.
And how do we create accountability? There's two different ways that we're doing that. One of those things did come up last night. I was here at the ordinance meeting, and I know the mayor spoke about the financial policies and procedures manual that DLS is putting together. And not just another plan from a state agency that's going to sit on a shelf, but a plan that is going to be robust and comprehensive, that the mayor is going to be bringing to the council and discussing and wanting to codify. This has come up a number of times just in the past few days, working with different folks that really are looking at that as the real path forward. That this isn't, you have a mayor right now that truly gets municipal finance, and you have been, singing his praises through this budgeting process. But if he was not here and a different mayor was here, what would happen then? This council, if folks that didn't have this mentality that you all have weren't here, what would happen? Well, the solution to that is by formulating a set of policies and procedures that are codified in the city law. That's it. This is how we're going to handle this. So that's step one, but it's in the works. And you've already heard from the mayor that we hope to bring that to you. He hopes to bring that to you, DLS, and we're all working with DLS as well sometime in January. The second piece of this, and this speaks to an additional item on your agenda, the supplemental budget, is when I first came in and took a look at all this and said, okay, this is a problem. This has to do with withholdings. We have other issues that have come up with withholdings over the years. Some of the reconciliation items that have come up in the past in front of the council, causes for concern. When you look at that, it relates back to employee withholdings. The bank accounts that we have the hardest time reconciling are employee withholdings. And then, as you know, Counselor, being very involved now with Ms. Curran, the personnel director, and the mayor, looking at Section 19, looking at our health insurance, that it's not just one product that we offer that we have to withhold and we have to pay out to vendors. And there was a period where it felt like every single day something was coming up related to withholdings. And so I spoke with the consultants we're working with, I spoke with the mayor, and I spoke with DLS, and said, why are we're doing this backwards? These issues could be easily identified and addressed if we had somebody dedicated to just that. And when we look at the amount of money we've spent in penalties and fines to the IRS, we look at money that we can, it's harder to quantify. Somebody who signed up for their FSA when they shouldn't have, but we never found out, so we never paid it, or vice versa. Now we've got to collect the money from the former employee, or health insurance, or COBRA. We look at all these things. We can show money going out the door that we may never be able to recoup. It's small dollars here and there, but as you say, yeah, dollar here, dollar there, it adds up, right? And there's also loss in productivity, because when we get that, and we get that wonky withholding question, that really if someone had been looking closer at this before we ever sent $1 out the door, to ensure that that dollar was going to the right place and going to the right, on behalf of the right person, that it's not going to take an extra 8 hours of work to figure out this, sometimes a $30 problem. But we have to do that because we're obligated. If we had that person up front, an auditor of sorts, a benefits withholding person to really take that, not only would it benefit us, but then we would have that individual or that position that could be held accountable, that we could look to and say, okay, this isn't working, what's going on? Because right now, that isn't the case. And we do need to have that. That's going to help professionalize our operations.
You say $1 here, $1 there adds up. I say a minute here, a minute here adds up.
I know.
Let's go.
I know. It was a long question. It deserved a long answer.
It was a lot longer answer than the question. And that is very unusual, Councilor Jordan. Thank you, Roy. Mayor Garcia.
So as far as the strategy on the supplemental, that's the only request in the supplemental budget that has to do with a position, because it was not at all my intent to include positions, because all the surpluses that we've decreased, those were strong majority position line items. And as far as we're putting the budget together every fiscal, that's going to be budgeted again for it. It can put the whole budget out of whack when we're trying to put the budget together for the next fiscal year. So, but listening to the argument, talking with the DOR, talking with our consultant in the Treasurer's Office, everything that Rory just explained, and considering that this is something that kind of pays for itself, that's why that's in here. But, as far as strategy supplemental was never
Not to cut you off, Mayor, we've talked about the personnel department over the years.
Yeah.
It is not staffed according to the size of the city, and we've known that. Now, and I can only speak for myself, but I think we're going to get to it in a minute, but I think it's something that is presented well and understood. But, whether the rest of the city council will agree, I'm not sure, but I think it makes sense. But just so we can get through this $30,000, Councilor Jane?
Yeah, just my final thought. This thing about the 30 grand, again, it's frustrating because this department has been under such scrutiny for at least 15 years. From the first Inspector General's report that really blew the lid on the Treasurer's Office in Holyoke. And from that, it's amazing to me that after all of that scrutiny, we're still where we're at today. And we got to get this right. And I know you're a super hard worker, Rory, so I'm really encouraged by you being there. And but we got to figure this out. And if it's in these policies and codify, but if it's an added person, whatever that case may be, but this stuff needs to end. And I think you agree with that.
Could not agree with you more.
Okay.
I appreciate the not being $600,000, and I appreciate it's 30. Wouldn't mind zero, but I appreciate the fact that it's a lot less than $600,000. Any other discussions on the 30,000? Motion to adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's 30. Next one, $10,000 tax title certification. Tax collector. I know our Laura Shaw is with us, our new tax collector, granddaughter of our former tax collector William Burns. Or you're welcome on that mic, or you're welcome to come in, whichever you.
I'm okay over here.
I don't blame you.
I'm going to be very short.
And answers and questions first.
Real quick, just to explain why we need these funds is, as Rory told you, we did tax titles for 2019, 2020, and 2021, and it exhausted the budgets there. It cost us actually over $7,000 to record the tax takings with the registry, and just shy of the $3,000 to advertise. That was 220 demand letters. I just sent out pre-demand letters for 2022, and that was 246. So this minor increase is to produce, we collected over $368,000 through the beginning of the tax title. And since it went into Rory's office, he gave me the figure of 176,000 since September 26th that we've collected. So seems this way it would allow me to hand over the 2022 takings to Rory's office. So the collector would just be collecting for 2023, the actual fiscal year we're in for the first time in many years.
And this money goes into next year.
I would think so, right?
Yes, it does. I'm just looking to see who's going to tell me.
Which money are we talking about?
This money is not available to next year.
The money she's collecting?
Yes.
Yeah, that will just go into general fund certified
All
letters.
right, but we have to watch out for, or what's the money that's put aside every year?
Oh, overlay?
Overlay.
Overlay account.
We have to make sure the overlay accounts
Anybody
are.
disputes the bill.
Well, the overlay account
There's
did get
something in-
increased.
yeah.
We did put it, but it's not in the, it's in the tax rate recap sheet instead.
Okay.
I think Tanya can speak to it.
Appreciate it. Any questions?
Motion
Motion to
approved.
adopt. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Laura, I think you're up next too.
Are you the 500 for
Training.
training?
Yeah, that is just to capitalize on a lot of the one-day trainings that are occurring in-state or via Zoom for myself as a new collector with not many people to bounce things off of, and to work with other local collectors, as well as having Yuritsa, who has moved into a higher position, to hopefully get her out there and meeting other collectors.
Motion to approve the 500?
A second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. $5,000 advertising. Does this go hand in hand?
Yeah, that goes hand in hand with the advertising comes before the tax taking.
Motion to approve the 5,000?
Motion made second to approve the 5,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Looks like we got 32.
32,000
Personnel.
84.
personnel assistant. $32,084.
Let's see, what she put on that.
Is Kelly with us? I'm not, usually Kelly's,
That's police department.
police department, I'm sorry. Chief is with us, right? Chief was with us. Here we go. Someone's with us. Chief Pratt, thank you.
I'm here.
Chief, this is in the supplemental budget, a increase of $32,084 to your personnel assistant.
Equipment, personnel equipment.
Personnel equipment, maybe?
Assistant.
Says assistant.
Personnel assistant.
Must be a different department. That's not me.
The line item says assistant.
On the bullet sheet, it says personnel.
Okay, hang on, Chief. Sorry.
Oh, you already talked. That was Rory's, the benefits manager. That's for that.
I'm sorry. Yes, this is what the treasurer, Rory Casey, was speaking to, the additional person that the mayor just started talking about in the personnel department itself to handle, and we're gonna, should be able to pay for part of the salary, we're being told, through monies that will be coming in savings and so forth.
That's a
I said my piece. I think this department's been so understaffed for our size of our city for years that I wish, if Kelly was here, I would just make sure that this is the person she wants more than anything, because I learned a long time ago, we don't let these budgets grow by too much, Mayor. And I know Mr. Vega's over here trying to get some money for a new position.
I wouldn't be here presenting anything that's not. If I'm coming in front of it, it's because it's.
I understand.
Strategic and thought out, and
I just, I'm not going to go back to fiscal 92 and talk about the minuses, unless we have to.
I was 5 years old in 92.
I think we cut your position.
We made big cuts in kindergarten that year.
Are there any questions? I think we've kind of heard this already, but
Make a motion to approve. that.
motion made second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Doing good here.
In-state travel.
State travel?
Who's that? 11,752. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's Aaron. Yeah, well, no, so I'll explain what's going on here. Let me just pull up my,
Oh, because you did 1,000 down from
Right.
education and
Thank
training.
you.
So you're just
Yes.
shifting it. Just
shifting.
Yeah, in fact, Councilor Tallman, when we had the budget, he was like, "Is this right?"
Okay.
The education line was higher, but we had planned on going to the Chicago trip and the Mass Municipal Association in January. I didn't realize that you couldn't take travel out of education, so it's just a transfer.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Make a
1,000.
motion to approve. Aaron Vega is our OPED director / planning director department, and motion is to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Data management.
Data management,
35,000?
it's equipment and services. The ask is for $35,000. The write-up,
Is that the police department?
this chief is where we need you. Chief Pratt, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, $35,000. It's data management. Is that education, training, or data management? Which?
Needs?
Oh, this is data maintenance. These are our contracts. We originally put in the budget. It was like 100. Let me look quick. 195.
108.36. Yeah.
That's 108. These are just our contracts that we have to pay. Even this transfer here we're still going to be short a little, but I think I've located a couple things within the remaining contracts that I'll be able to hold off on. One for sure, and the other one I can hold off and figure that out as the year goes on. So this will definitely take care of the pending things that we need to pay in data maintenance.
Is this in any way related to Adobe charging us more and more money for every time we add something?
Probably though, but no. These are all our IMC, the Verizon Cellular, the Barracuda Spam, all our benchmark analytics, Central Square, Splash Top. I have explanations for. I think I sent those over originally too.
yeah, I think they're in your packets, Counselor.
What has been paid, what still needs to be paid, and what they basically are. Kind of the quick version, cliff notes of what those contracts cover.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, actually, there's a back
sheet.
of this sheet. There's
This right here.
Oh.
35,000. 23.
Okay, any questions?
my basic question would be: is this something new? Like, why weren't these in the original budget?
They were cut.
We cut them.
Oh.
Was the mayor doing the cut?
The mayor
I
cut
cut it for you.
I don't
It
know.
wasn't the
guys were
city
gonna cut it.
council chief, right?
All right.
And-
I'm not sure. I don't remember who cut it.
Oh,
Sure.
what a problematic answer that was.
Okay.
And it's still short, by the way. It's about
We're
11,000.
still going to be short by about 11,000.
Yeah, you can use a little from the.
What's
overtime
11?
account.
Yeah, what's 11,000 among friends, right?
Well, yeah, I figure we could take care of it a line item transfer at year end or something, but he's
There you
got
go.
some bills that need to be paid now, and then when those bills come later. Not the best practice. I hope to move away from this practice eventually,
Right.
but a way to keep the rate decent. So.
Any motion?
Motion to approve the 35.
Second to approve 35,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. The next line item is 35,000, but this one is education and training. This is new officers and equipment purchases, Chief.
Correct. So, basically the path we're on here is to get back to our numbers, back to full staffing. The academy, our next group, we have 6 in there now. The next group we plan to put in would probably be 10. It's 3,200 a guy to go to the academy, so that would only leave us with probably with what's in there now and what's left from the 35, about 7,000 for all our other training, which really isn't sufficient, but we'll figure it out.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Motion
Motion
approved.
approved.
To approve, all those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Next is office professional supplies, 18,000. Chief, that's you too.
Yep. So this one here was the originally we put in for, I think it was like 42. It got cut, and I think the confusion there was that the contract we entered into for all our printers and servers, which ultimately was what the rest of the city uses as well, is to cut down on all the toners and all that expense that we were paying. And that contract alone was more than what was budgeted, so I have no money left for any other supplies. That's why I need money in there.
Let's see, what, this is in, what's this line item called again? Just want to look at the.
Office and professional supplies.
Office and professional supplies. Okay, here we go. Printers, copiers included. I'm just checking my notes from the budget hearings. Yeah, this was just, he requested 42.5 and it was funded at 26. The council didn't touch it, but he's asking for how much now?
18.
18 back in.
18. That's actually a little more than your original request. Any reason the number grew? You originally requested 42.5. That would have been 16.5 more. I mean,
Well, I'm just going based on what we need, personal. No, professional.
We've heard the price of toner is up.
Yep, and everything's up. Every paper's up. Just so you know, the contract alone for the printers was 28. So it was 2,000 more than what I even had budgeted. So I'm trying to remember now how I paid that, but somehow I moved some money somewhere to pay that. I did take, I believe, 20, almost 25 from here to pay it. I don't remember where the other money came from. And again, paper, supplies, the daily stuff that we use here. I know at one point we had to borrow paper from the school department because we couldn't get any.
Don't say that.
That's going to be the quote of the headline on Mass Live tomorrow. Police department borrows paper from the school department.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah.
We did give it back, just so we're clear.
Oh, okay, good.
All right, you give it back.
Dennis, if you're listening, can you text me and give the mayor a break? All right, any motions?
Make a motion.
To approve.
Motion made, second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Still in the police department, 15,000 ammunition.
Okay, so the ammo, we talked about it back during the budget. We have to qualify twice a year now. And so, obviously the money doubled. It's like ammo is expensive too. It's going up. Everything's going up. But the new hires as well, we have to, each one of those new hires needs 1,500 rounds of duty weapon or a pistol and 1,500 rounds of rifle, and they need 200 rounds of like ammunition just to go to the academy. So obviously with these increases as well that we're trying to get to, these are all things we need money for to equip the guys to go to the academy, and our regular in-service annually now, twice a year, not once a year.
Chief, where do our officers go for practice? Is it?
Currently, we go to the Hoyle Revolver Club. That's where we do our qualifications.
Any further discussion? Any questions?
Make a motion to be approved.
Second.
Yeah,
Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Chief Pratt, thank you for being here. Have we thought about ways to like, I don't know, use a different alternative instead of like live bullets or ammunition? Isn't there like some kind of software or digital software that we can use to have our men and women in uniform practice with?
Yeah, that would be separate from, we're mandated by the state to qualify twice a year with the duty weapons. So there's no way to, I think I know what you're talking about, like the simulators and
Yes,
things like that. but
yeah, exactly.
Those don't count. I mean, those are great for training and additional training, but they won't satisfy the requirement.
Can't use a PS5.
Right, thank you. Right. All right, thank you. Thank you for that.
The Oculus.
Oh, there you go.
We're so advanced.
Grand Theft Auto? Grand Theft Auto? All right, any questions?
No.
Any
Motion to approve.
Motion made, second to approve. All those in favor? Any opposed? Next one is $32,000, Chief, yours increase for, we're being told, new recruits and bulletproof vest
Exactly right.
match. I'm
So
gonna ask you,
again, take that same number, 10 hires, it's gonna cost us about $3,000 a guy for personal equipment.
okay, we just approved a grant.
Yeah.
That was for 24 vests, wasn't it?
We can't give them one of those 24.
22 vests.
Okay. Can we give 10 of them to them? Or is that
Not if
still
you don't
not
like
enough?
That's still not enough. I'm talking about 10 new hires. Above, the ones we talked about during that grant, they're already here, they're already hired.
All right, the grant, you would split it
And
down.
And this equipment I'm talking about is they're regular equipment, that's not even vests. This is for them to go to the academy, their uniforms, the equipment they need to attend the academy.
Okay. No, it does say outfit for recruits. It's at the end where it says a match for the grant for the vest.
What?
13,200. We gave you a match for the grant from a transfer already.
Correct. But that money was already in the line. Correct.
Oh, so, yes. So we, yeah, remember at the last meeting, I was like, well, wait a minute, does this include, so this is all set.
What do you mean?
That $13,200 match,
I thought we already approved that.
you already did that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So
remember
it's-
where I kind of cut you guys off in the middle when you were talking about
Yeah.
it? I said, wait a minute, are we double dipping here a little bit? And then you clarified what was going on, and I said, okay, that's fine.
Okay, so we can reduce it by the 13.2. We only need to do 18.8. Okay, so I'll make a motion to reduce it from.
Mayor, no,
Oh,
that's
and
not-
then
that's
and
not
then this
accurate.
happened. This happened. All right.
Okay, now
Then
what
he
happened?
cut me off and he
Mayor,
clarified.
That's not accurate, Mayor.
No?
Go ahead.
If he reduces it by 13, I won't have enough money to send the guys to the academy.
So I have here in my notes an increase of 32,000 for personnel equipment, which includes 1,800 for outfit. Is that not correct?
18.8.
18,800 for outfits, and 13,200 to match a grant for police. Is that not accurate?
From the grant. Right. So, yeah, the money is from the grant that's gonna match it, right? And go
You need-
into that line.
You needed a local match. What was the local match dollar amount?
Hold on one second.
Oh, you know what it is? At that meeting, you accepted the grant, but there wasn't a transfer. Was there a transfer?
Yeah.
No, there was a transfer.
Was there?
Tanya, do you have your notes?
We didn't have a,
Yeah, I do.
We didn't
I
approve the money?
actually do have a transfer.
Okay.
But the transfer was out. The transfer was out of their personnel equipment line to the grant.
Yes.
So he probably does need that money in there to cover.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Cover
The
that
money went out.
transfer.
Goes back in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
it was
Alright,
out,
so
not
we're-
in.
it's a yeah.
Wash.
All right.
I saw it
Yes.
back in.
When you
Yeah.
transferred it, it wasn't a surplus because of the new recruits, more new recruits that came.
I
get it.
see.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll keep the full amount. I make a motion to keep the 32.
Second.
All right, motion made second that we approve the full 32. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. One more, chief. $3,000 auxiliary.
Okay, so, the auxiliary, police that we used to have was, reformed after the reform bill and created the auxiliary traffic division. It's basically the same. Their training is the same. They need the same, thing. And we've always funded them at 6,000 and it was cut to 0 this year. I think there was some confusion at the time that, like, we didn't have auxiliary police anymore, so they cut that line item. But the auxiliary police never really, went away. They just changed the way they did business and they changed their name. And the line item here was for auxiliary. Part of that money they needed was they, did a complete changeover of their equipment and uniforms, and they needed the money for that. We did a transfer earlier for half of the money, and then the mayor, in conversations with the mayor, agreed that we would get the other half back to them so they could continue to assist us. I think it's very small money for everything they do for the city, and we need them.
I think the world of the auxiliary police, and I agree with you, but any questions?
Nope, motion to approve 3,000.
3,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
So now we're on to EMD stipend on the second page. Whatever that is.
So I don't know if Jeff Trask is
All right,
online.
we got a $3,000 EMD, emergency management.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think we,
Yep.
That went through ordinance, I think.
So, emergency management, that's the one where we I think we got a $10,000 grant. We match it 10,000, it's a total of 20,000. So this is the one where Jeff Trask has been in and out of here trying to work on the stipend.
Yep.
And to make it, I don't know, he's trying to get hours for retirement or whatever the case may be, but the minimum needs to be 5,000 in order to qualify for this move. Job description was updated. The Schedule A was updated. He doesn't have the link. He's trying to get on. So that's what that is. So it's we reduced it from other supplies line item to move it over so that it makes that to the 5,000 that he needs.
any questions?
It's going up from what number to, it's what, 2 to 5?
It was 2,000.
Okay.
That was the that's what's in the in your Schedule A as a stipend,
Right.
or was.
Yeah, I mean, in the long scheme of things, it's not, because he does a great job and his predecessors have done a great job, so I'm going to definitely vote in favor of it. But I do want to I think it is important, and you just mentioned the key point. It does create a future liability because it now creates another pensioned position. It is, to point that out. But as far as I'm concerned, though, if you do the job for 10 years plus and you give of the type of hours that this position gives, it is worthy of it. But just by way of transparency, it does now create this as a pensioned position now because it goes over the 5,000 threshold. Just so people understand that.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Reagan.
Thank you. Just a note, it'll have to come over to ordinance to change the schedule.
I think you guys.
Did we already change the schedule?
He's
We
been
did have
working
a
on this.
discussion. I figured
We did the agreement to upgrade
Yeah.
the job, but
Right.
at the time, the stipend was the 2,000.
And of course, this one's a little bit different, but we've had this debate, and I don't know if this is going to rekindle it, but there's been a discussion about, well, how much does this board get paid and that board get paid and this, because everybody's going to want to be at least at the 5,000 level to get your pension, right? So just FYI, but
This role is pretty interesting. I guess it was under the fire chief for some time.
That's right.
Fire chief had
Then Jeff Trask.
It's well
He
deserved.
came from Chicopee with some
well-deserved.
emergency management experience and background, so he was happy to take it on.
Yeah.
And he's
tremendous.
He's been doing. He's currently
Jeff is awesome. I'm a big fan of his. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Entertain a motion?
I'm
Motion
voting in
approved.
favor.
Motion made second to adopt. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. 7,500 motor vehicle fuel.
Council on Aging?
Council on Aging.
Oh, she couldn't be here, but I have her notes. Give me 1 minute.
Wouldn't they go to the DPW yard?
So they do. Well, she budgets it out of her line item, and the DPW sends her the bill. She pays, and to date, the invoices have been up to 2,700. We've budgeted 2,500, so she averaged it out and came up with the 7,500 in need between now and the end of the fiscal year. That's how she came up with the number.
Do we know what the gas rate is that we're charging for internal for city vehicles?
Yeah, we have. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but it's a fixed rate because we did a public procurement, a joint procurement with FERCog, who took a number of communities, and so it's a fixed rate. I don't know what the number is top of my head.
Because I think we're exempt from the gas tax. There's
We
certain
are.
advantages to us doing it ourselves. And
But before the procurement, we were just paying whatever the prices were, so it was fluctuating.
Right,
and now
right.
it's fixed. We know what it's going to be. We
Okay,
can
you
average
can budget
it.
it, yeah.
Put our budgets together.
I'll make a motion to approve the 7,500.
Motion made second to adopt. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Tanya, is that everything till we do this? Now we just gotta do the school department?
Yep.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So the next part, in this part, just to, upfront, we need to take this vote. Of all the votes we just took, this is probably the most important as far as the budget goes. And I think a big part, well, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but a big part about this is the difference between the governor's budget, the Senate budget, and the legislature. And you know, it's always an option for the mayor to choose at the beginning of the year with the help of the auditor. Are we gonna believe the senators, the legislature, or the governor? And no one ever chooses right. It's,
Yeah.
But the first one is an increase in personnel services of 292,729,000. Mayor, auditor, you want to just give us the explanation?
I can do that if you'd like. So the difference between the governor's and the conference committee budget, what had happened was that the revenues increased and the expenses decreased. So that change is the 292,729 that you see in the personal services account. And that was the school's choice to put it in the personal services. I believe I gave you the school's budget in your packet originally, so you could see the full state budget and also the school's budget to include their net school spending.
And this change is because with the change in the budget, it affects net school spending, which is our obligation.
That's correct.
So this is our minimum net school spending if we approve these numbers.
Correct.
Okay. I make a motion that these two additions be put in there with the two subtractions. So
Motion made and seconded that we do the two additions for the school department and recognize we also have done the school choice tuition subtraction and the charter school spending subtraction. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Not bad.
Too bad.
I know a lot of the department heads are looking at me going, what's wrong with him? I appreciate everybody that's here. I appreciate everybody that's online. We needed to get a lot of this done before we can set the tax rate, which everybody needs, especially that tax collector's office, needs to get done so we can get those bills out and not force the mayor to have to borrow again this year.
Meeting the 6th, right?
All right, let's get moving.
Motion to take item number 6 off the table for discussion.
Motion made and seconded to take item 6 off the table. This is a request of a transfer from cannabis stabilization of $75,000 to the Board of Health professional services, $75,000. We both have Aaron Vega and Sean Gonzalez online, Aaron in person to talk about this. Aaron, I know we talked a lot about using cannabis stabilization funds. Do you want to add something to it or just give us a good explanation so anybody listening will understand it?
I just said, I'm just looking at the items there. The 7 goes with that too, right? Because that's item number 7. It's the Board of Health Cannabis Industry Inspector.
I believe the way it is in the agenda, and we're figuring out the process here. You're getting the request and the actual money.
Can we take them together then?
Yep.
Okay, suspend the rules to take items 6 and 7 together.
Suspension of rules made and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? We're taking up item 7, which is in the Office of Planning and Economic Development fee funding application, a Board of Health Cannabis Industry Inspector.
Yeah. So basically what happened was when I first filed these, I just filed them via the application, but then we put in the correct language for our transfer. This is totally in line with what cannabis impact fee money should be used for. This has been a discussion had right here with the City Council. I believe Sean was at your last meeting about this, something we've been talking a lot about. So again, this is above and beyond the purview of the Board of Health and the inspections that they do. So this will be to increase inspections and to start to look at how we deal with the odor mitigation process. But I'll leave it up to Sean as well to add if he has.
Sean, welcome. Would you like to address this?
Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. I think I concur with everything Aaron has said and what I mentioned at the previous meetings. Essentially, this money would be put to use to, yes, improve on our inspectional capability. I think that's the core request that the council has made clear, but also we would achieve that by hiring a consulting firm that could provide those inspectional services as well as provide a little bit of guidance on how best to achieve compliance, look at some other models that work, make sure that what we choose to do in the direction that we go are best practices and not creating any separate issues, right? Some of the inspections that we'll be doing we have not done before. So we're looking to make sure that we start off on the right foot, set a good protocol, and make sure that we're not creating any conflicts.
And I'm sorry, can I just back up one? This is
Absolutely.
Back up one thing. We now have a pretty robust process in place. So there's an application that is open to departments to use. So the full explanation needs to be there, transparent as to how this is impacted or related to the cannabis industry. So there's a full application that's run through my office. We also, in addition, have put together the Citizens Review Committee, which was a request of the City Council. And so we have residents that reviewed these before they went forward. In addition, with this batch of requests, the mayor and I have met with the industry, the current businesses that are open. We're having really great discussions with them on the ever-changing law, utilizing the impact fee money. So the 3 proposals for you tonight not only went through the application process, were vetted by the industry and vetted by the Citizens Review Commission, Cannabis Citizens Review Commission. So this is the process that we're putting forward to utilize these funds. So it's very open, very transparent, and again, gets buy-in from obviously the city, but also those paying the fee.
Yep.
Just a couple of questions. Mayor?
Well, I was just saying, surprise.
Couple of questions. Because I've listened to a lot of the discussion in the ordinance committee. special permits and so on. We all know some of the issues out there and certainly the tragedy that happened at one of our new manufacturers. Is there any redundancy that this person would be doing to what the state should be doing?
Go ahead, Sean. I
can speak to that a little bit. The state has the authority to do a lot of the inspections, but I don't know that they have the capacity. I'm not sure how many of you have worked with the Cannabis Control Commission, but it can take weeks to get a response. They had previously had some issues. We've had some previous city employees who have worked for the Cannabis Control Commission, so I was privy to a little bit of information about their workings, but they are not going to be doing inspections, I think, as rigorously or as frequently as the council has requested, right? When I think about inspections, I think about what the Board of Health aspires to do, what the state suggests we do, which is, annual, biannual inspections. You have a checklist, you run down them, they're reportable. What the state is doing at these facilities is not disclosed to us. I have no record of them. I'm not aware of any citations that are issued. So it's very difficult for us to make any inference about what's happening or about things that we can do better or things that we should be looking out for. So while maybe some of the authority may be redundant, that's a model for many things. The Board of Health shares authority for inspections with the DEP, with DPH, with other agencies. But as for the information that the city would be gleaning and the understanding of the processes, that there's none of that at this time.
And the reason I ask, and the real question I want to ask, is the cannabis stabilization dollars aren't going to be around forever. And we're creating a new position. And you heard Councilor Jordan. This is a new position?
I would be contracted services. We don't want to create any positions.
I don't have to ask this question.
No, there's no. I'm correct if I'm wrong, Sean. But I think this is going to be contracted services.
Then
yeah, these are contracted services. We're looking to hire a consultant firm to come in and help us shape policy and get us started, but no new staff.
I stand corrected. I'll stop right there. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Over here. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. Through the chair to Sean, my only question was, are we coordinating with the Cannabis Commission so they will have an understanding of what we will be doing through the contractor relative to the inspections?
Well, we certainly can. At this moment in time, we're not doing anything yet. And I think the first thing that we'll be doing, should this motion pass and should the money be transferred, is we're going to sit down with this consultant. I'll sit down with Aaron and we'll sit down with the building department, some of the other inspectional services, and we'll really set an agenda for what we'd like to see and how we'd like to move forward. And then once that's finalized, certainly we'll communicate and explore what they may like to see from us. But at this moment in time, there's no real communication between us and them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I would just add that the new CCC, new Cannabis Control Commission chair, she and I have spoken, and we'll have a meeting in mid-December. So we'll be updating her on all the stuff we'll be doing.
Great,
and we have a good relationship with Councilor Stebbins, who's also on the
Yes. And the only reason that I asked is because with the whole issue that happened at Trulieve, I had spoken with a representative of the Cannabis Commission, and they had talked to me about paths relative to enforcement and the like, and it just seemed like it would be a good collaboration, right? Okay.
And just one quick anecdotal story from last night. I know Councilor Jordan talked about OSHA a bunch with the True Leaf issue, and just interesting to sort of understand how the federal government and local governments aren't quite on the same page. At one point, OSHA asked True Leaf to send them samples of the cannabis that the person was working on. Obviously, you cannot do that. So OSHA is not exactly up to speed on what's going on.
Right.
Can't exactly mail cannabis across the state.
Yeah, interesting. Wow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're voting on a transfer first. Is there any further questions on the use of stabilization? It will require a 2/3 vote by the city council because it's stabilization under all circumstances.
Yep. We were told this by Sean previously, and we had discussed this in ordinance and otherwise, so I do appreciate him moving forward and with this. So certainly very much in favor.
Make a motion to approve the transfer.
Made and seconded, all those, Councilor Reagan.
Just one more quick question. You had mentioned, and through the chair to Sean, you had mentioned being able to work on the odor mitigation also. And so I'm thinking that means that Attorney Bissonnette found that is something that we can do through the mitigation monies, okay too? And the only reason that I'm asking that is because we had a pending order in ordinance requesting the legal opinion on whether the mitigation fees could be used for odor mitigation. And so it seems like that has been found to be okay, that it could be part of that consulting role.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Mike was, he sent an email this week or last, forgive me on the dates, but that confirmed that was an allowable use.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we have run these by the law department as well, so they're aware that we're keeping them informed.
We just have parallel tracks going,
absolutely.
so it's all good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? On the motion to adopt, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Suspend the rules and take items 8 and 9 together.
Motion made second to take items 8 and 9 as a package, 8 being a request of $70,000 from Cannabis Stabilization to Planning Marketing Management Team, and 9 being the contract agreement for the professional services, the same thing. On the motion to take together, all those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Aaron, welcome again.
Thank you. Yeah. So obviously, this is something that has been talked about for a long time. Marketing the city. Obviously, my office has taken on a lot on marketing and tourism. Our scope of work keeps expanding. We have the 2019 tourism plan, and we've seen even post-COVID a lot. What the recovery is about is increasing our tourism and our activities. This is one, interestingly enough, that when meeting with the industry, they want to see us spend even more on this. So I'm looking at other sources, including the Mass Gaming Mitigation Fund, who I just spoke with today for next year, for the next application. This could get us started. Not an employee in any way, shape, or form. Definitely want to do contracted services, either a firm or professional people who are doing this. The industry would be three-pronged, and it wouldn't just be about the industry. It would be about marketing the events in Holyoke, marketing as the housing market, and perhaps the Buy Holyoke Now program comes back, to live in Holyoke, and of course to eventually promote our business sector, particularly the manufacturing sector. There's not a lot of advertising going on around manufacturing sectors. And in fact, the advertisements that do come to my office about trying to advertise our manufacturing sector are ridiculously expensive. And so that's been something talked about for a long time. This would start to get us an action plan. We have this tourism plan. It's a bunch of words. It's got a lot of ideas. Obviously, we were able to utilize funds and get the Explore Holyoke website up and running. Hopefully, you're checking that out as you make your weekend plans. But the calendar, the open source calendar, has been talked a lot about for so long. We have that now. We need someone to help us get us to the next step. Again, this is something that both the industry, the CCRC, the Citizens Cannabis Review Committee, and everyone sort of was in agreement with. And again, I think that was interesting in the conversation with the industry. They're like, spend as much as you want for marketing. It's not just about marketing them. It won't be marketing the industry itself. It'll be part of the infrastructure of retail. Obviously, the dispensaries are part of our retail on the website, just as well as all the stores at the mall. It's about getting people into Holyoke. And that's where we're at. And of course, as we look to next year specifically, as the 150th celebration, there's going to be a lot of events. Celebrate Holyoke is coming back. Petronalis event is already scheduled on the calendar. So we really got to think about how we promote Holyoke. And we all know that tourism helps our local businesses, especially our restaurants and the stores that are downtown. So this could be a step in the right direction. Again, if we can find other grant funding to support marketing and promotion, I think that we can really build a robust marketing plan for the city of Holyoke.
So when you say the state's in favor, are the manufacturers of marijuana in favor too? Or I mean in general?
In general, they were there. We were on a call recently with the head honchos at GTI. We've talked to True Leaf, and of course the Ford Open Dispensaries. We've talked to all the 7 companies that are paying into this fee.
Yep.
Obviously, we're really excited about Analytics Lab. That's really a great asset for us to have here. If you've not toured Analytics Lab, let me know. I can get you over there. It's really great to understand what that third-party testing is all about. This is basically a high-end lab, the same thing that would be tested for the COVID virus, right? It's the same equipment. They're just testing cannabis in there. And so it's really interesting to see that production. So they obviously don't pay an impact fee. The 7 companies that are open do, and they all, to a T, want to see the city thrive. We're lucky, despite some of the current situations that happened. These companies have a good relationship with us, and they're happy to be here. They're not always happy about spending the money, but when we talked to them about it, they were on board with this in particular very much.
Councilor Tomlin.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for coming down. I'm just looking at the sheet, and on the back part, talking about ongoing costs, future years. So after the first year, you're going to see what the costs are to this contracted services, and you figure that maybe there'll be other grants or other monies coming in from the cannabis to take care of this.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, as we look to, even though the cannabis impact fee money will go away at some point, there's obviously a good chunk of it now. We've only allocated $52,000 out of it right now. The Mass Gaming Mitigation Fund, and again, why is that number? I don't plan on giving that number to a person or a firm. They need money for the advertising, right? I mean, you can't hire someone and say, market the city, and you have no social media budget. You have no paper advertising budget. That's part of that is to get the budget to do the stuff, right? I have a clerk in my office. Thankfully, I have a wonderful staff right now, and Marie Brazo, and thankfully she's young and understands social media. She's doing a lot of this promotion stuff. It's great, way out of the scope of her work. Thankfully, she's interested in it and she can do it, but this should be somebody out there daily promoting the calendar, promoting things that are going on, reminding companies and reminding places that the calendar exists, helping promote. Our hope when we look at the 150th celebration, what we're trying to do is, my office, as we're chairing that, is we're trying to get all the money to do the marketing for that stuff, so that the Petronalis Festival, Paper City Food Festival, Doors Open, don't have to advertise individually. We're going to take that stress out of it and just advertise everything for the year, every month. So that's the hope.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, Aaron, I just wanted to compliment you on your follow through and your work on this. I know you and I had talked about this marketing earlier in the year, and I really appreciate your work on this. This is really great work. And, taking us again to the next level, right? This is what our goal is, continuing to talk about the story of Holyoke, as you well know, and having these type of investments in ourselves back creates a multiplier effect for the city. And that's what we really want to do. And I'm glad to hear that these firms are so supportive of this. So really appreciate your follow through on this one. And, and perhaps we use other dollars in there to leverage. If you can use this to springboard to get a grant for additional marketing, and then we have to give a match, we could probably 3x, 4x our money off of something like this. So this is really good work. Thank you for doing this.
The line item planning, marketing, management team, is that a new line item created by the auditor?
I believe so. I have to.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and Mr. Vega will be able to use it, even though we're putting in this line item for said purposes as designated, right?
Yes,
for the health department, we used the professional services, which is pretty generic as far as line items go. This is kind of unique. I just wanted to make sure.
I think it was also for tracking purposes. We didn't want to just put it in contracted services, obviously where we could, but I think it was easier to track, right, if it was a separate line.
It's actually going into the general fund. So we created a department for cannabis, and if it's not spent at the end of the year, it goes back into stabilization.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's in so what we're doing is we're appropriating it from cannabis stabilization into the general fund for expenditure, normal expenditure like you do in the general fund. If it's not spent at the end of the year, it goes back into the stabilization for reappropriation.
That's the sheriff talking.
The sheriff is correct.
Thank you to our auditor. Thank you, Aaron. Any other discussion?
No, I make a motion to be approved.
Motion made second that it be approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Make a motion to go to item number 10.
Motion made second to take item number 10 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
It might be coupled with another one. I'm not sure.
With 11, yeah.
And item 10 and 11, suspend the rules. All those
Yeah,
in
it's a
favor?
package, yep.
Any opposed? This is from Cannabis Stabilization, $3,300. Fire Department Equipment, $3,300. And we have an item 11, Office of Planning and Economic Development Impact Fee Funding application for 6 carbon dioxide detectors. Aaron is still with us, and also online is Chief Catalytics.
Oh, hey, Chief. All right. So one of the as the chief comes on, one of the great things that's been happening internally is we have a core cannabis group meeting monthly. All departments are invited, and we've been working with the fire department on this one for a little while. And obviously, this is pretty self-explanatory, especially as they go into these grow facilities. They need to make sure they have these carbon dioxide readers. So very, very related to what the work they're doing, the inspections, very tied into what Sean is doing, obviously. So this was a really relatable expense, and working with the fire department in this core cannabis group meeting has been great. Very similar to the property preservation group, where we all come together and share best practices. And so this was an easy lift. They actually filled out the application themselves, and here we are. So I think the chief's with us, you said?
He is.
Okay.
Chief, welcome. You got to unmute, though.
There's a sign right there. You're on.
There you go.
Yeah, just took a second.
Oh,
How you doing,
how nice of her. Send her a Christmas card.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, what these detectors are is they're for actually mitigating emergencies there. What they do is they infuse carbon dioxide into the grow rooms in order to stimulate growth. We ran into an incident back in March at Truly where we had extremely elevated levels, and it's a piece of equipment we never had to have before. So this will give us the ability to go in and confirm, obviously, what the actual emergency situation is when they get a high carbon dioxide alarm. We had gone in there and they had about 10,000 parts per million that day, which is well above where their threshold would be for that room. So it just gives us the ability to actually investigate these emergencies and safely investigate and mitigate them.
Do you use them for spot investigations, or just when there's an emergency, called in?
It would just be for an emergency counselor. So when they get that high carbon dioxide alarm and we go to investigate it, it would give us the ability to investigate that alarm or that condition.
Thank you.
I make a motion to be approved.
Second.
Been second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Chief, I know you waited a long time tonight. Thank you. And Aaron, thank you. We had to get that mayor's supplemental budget out of the way, or we'd be in big trouble. And I'm going to have to say the same thing to our next guest, Yoni, in a second. But thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And just
No problem. Thank you for your support,
Thank you,
Counselor.
Chief. Yeah, just a quick comment from my perspective of being here 2 years, just real quick. This team is great. I mean, the work we're doing with trying to move properties and working with Laura and Rory and the mayor it's been great. So I mean, a lot of what we're trying to do with economic development, we need their support, and it's been great to work with them. So thanks for the support.
Good to hear. Thank you.
You almost didn't get a Christmas card.
Item number 12.
Mr. President, can we, it seems like the next three are connected.
12, 13,
and
and
14.
14, I believe you're correct.
Can we do that, suspend the rules and take up those three together?
Motion made second to suspend the rules to take 12, 13, and 14 as a package. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Each of the, well, I'll go through one real quick, one by one. Item 12 is the Conservation of Sustainability Letter regarding Land Conservation Fund, known as LWCF Grant Award, Anniversary Hill Park. Item number 13 is the resolution to accept this said grant for the EEA for the renovation of land at Anniversary Hill Park. And item number 14 is Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A. It's the Anniversary Hill Park Revitalization Phase 1 project, $520,000 no match grant, with the resolution being necessary. We've learned that in the past from Yoni. But we are taking up all three for discussion. We welcome our Conservation Director, as always. Yoni Glassclover, would you like to walk us through what we need to vote on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really exciting one, obviously. It's another land and water conservation fund for our ongoing efforts at Anniversary Hill Park. As I outlined in the letter to the full city council, this is going to go towards a variety of activities, design, permitting, engineering for increased trail access, improvements to the CCC stone structures, passive amenities, landscaping. And as with the last Land and Water Conservation Fund grant that we received for $150,000, that was towards the land acquisition to add 14.1 acres to the park. This grant will refund 50% of a total project cost. So this is gonna be added to other grants and funding sources that we've already allocated to the project. We have $575,000 from CDBG funds, $100,000 Mass Trails grant, $30,000 from Community Preservation Act, and then this grant as well. So as with the last time, one of the requirements for this, this is a grant administered by the Department of Conservation Services, but it comes from the Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund. And one of the requirements from the National Park Service is a resolution that affirms that the city has available for appropriation the full project cost, in this case, $1,040,000. We actually have more than that now, and we're actually I'm gonna be coming before you again at the next Finance Committee meeting for yet another funding grant that we got to cover some of the overhead utility relocation. So that's what this resolution is basically saying. It references, I believe, it says that we have funds currently available in the city stabilization fund. We're not actually going to be touching that money because we've already allocated funds from all these other sources, but this is just affirming that the city has the money up front and it is, that it exists. So I think that's the gist of what's going on. We have until we expect to expend most of the funds in fiscal year 23 and 24, although we do have through fiscal year 25 to continue the project if we need to. This year is going to be mostly the design and permitting. We have some preliminary site concepts, obviously, but we want to do more community engagement and really hash out what we want the park to look like. And then fiscal year 24 would be the actual construction for the most part. Although the overhead utility work is also going to proceed during FY23 as well with the CDBG funds and the new funding source from EEA that we'll talk about next time. So I think those are all the basics. I want to mention also that Mark Walmsley is here from Kestrel Land Trust. They've continued to work with the city and been our partner. They helped us a lot. They were integral to the land acquisition part, and they're going to continue to collaborate with us as we move on to the next phase of the project.
Thank you. Mark, welcome. Would you like to add anything?
I think Yoni did a great job describing the project. I can say we're just excited to build on the momentum that we already established with the city's support in acquiring the 14 acres and adding it to the park. So we had all hoped that move and kind of going out on a limb on that would kind of move the whole park renovation forward, and it seems to be. So we're excited about that, and we're excited to continue partnering with the city.
Thank you, and we appreciate that, the partnership, but we appreciate your words. And Anniversary Hill historically has got a lot of significant importance to the history of this city, but more important, the proposal here is the future of this city. And I think the fact that we've been able to, through Yoni's and your help, and appropriate and get the monies in place to get this through. Are we through phase one, or are we, as far as design goes?
No, we have preliminary concepts, but we need to hash out the full design.
Okay. Someone's going to ask me that next Tuesday, so I just wanted to make sure I understood it correctly. but greatly appreciated. Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, Yoni, could you just kind of walk through the numbers again? So we have 520 from here. I heard you mention 30,000 from CPA. What were the other numbers that you put out there?
We have 575,000 from CDBG, Community Development Block Grant.
Okay.
We were originally awarded only 500,000, but I think all the projects got an increase, and ours was an extra 75,000. And then we also got a $100,000 Mass Trails grant. That was earlier this summer, I think.
Okay.
The timing's all a little jumbled, but that was for design of the accessible trail, if you recall.
Right. So we still feel pretty comfortable about it. This is going to be plus or minus $1,040,000 to do all the work that we want to do to get this to look like we want it to look like ultimately up there.
Yeah, at least for phase one. I think our goal is really to, improve the structures that are already there, the trail systems. I think looking for, it's going to be a very comprehensive project that will hopefully encourage better use of the park and getting a lot more people out there who aren't aware of it. I think from there we could even do even more cool things.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's going to be an iterated a project unto itself.
Indeed, yeah. What a great thing. I know how much excitement we had when we were able to do the community field, and there was always the vision that we're going to do this, and we're finally getting there. So thank you both for all your work on this, and this is going to be exciting for the city.
Any further discussion?
I'll make a motion these all be approved.
Motion made second to adopt to approve the resolution and the grant acceptance. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Gentlemen, thank you again. Well, and thank you for, I know it's a long wait, but I blame the mayor. It's very simple,
It's okay.
Thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Councilor.
Good night.
Good night.
I don't know where we are.
15.
Item 15.
Make a motion to take that off the table.
Motion made second to take item 15 off the table. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. It's a request of a transfer, Building Department, for $9,903.74 from the Property Management Demolition Supervisor into Building Commissioner.
And now all the way out to 19 is all kind of kissing cousins of the of number 15. So
Right. I think
16 we're going to get rid of.
Okay. So make a motion. We give.
I'm pretty sure. I hope.
Oh, okay.
Well,
15? 17 and 18 look like they're the same item. I don't know if it's a dump.
Better.
17 and 18 look like, not sure. They look the same. Got duplicate.
They are not the same item.
They're not?
They're not?
They're
Okay.
two
Same amount?
separate, two separate with different dates, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
okay, so for discussion purposes, we got 15. We want to just take up 15, 16, 17, and 18 and discussion-wise get it all done?
Sure. Yeah.
And then we'll be, I know it'll be separate votes, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make
On
a
that
motion to take them as a
suspend the
package.
rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. All right, so what we have is, besides the one I just read, item 15, is we've had this in committee for some time, is a $7,000 transfer, pay property maintenance demolition supervision to pay building commissioner. And then we have two new ones, $20,000 from the same line item, pay property maintenance demolition supervisor to other contracted services. And we have a second request, same amount, into the same line item. As the auditor just pointed out, it is separate. I think we all know our building commissioner, Damian Cody, has resigned and left the city as of 2 days ago. But he is available. I don't think he's with us this evening, but he is available and working with, I'm not sure if we have an announcement to make about anybody acting but that's okay.
No announcement.
Okay. But the first point is the surplus in pay property maintenance demolition supervisor is, there is no pay property maintenance demolition supervisor. So I think we're all comfortable with why there's a surplus. And Mayor, I want to give you the lead for the first one, the 9,903.74.
Yeah, so here we have now a position that's vacant. The building commissioner moved on. And so the position's currently posted. And similar to, how we were dealing with the DPW position, this transfer will put the line item to offer the mid-max as we interview candidates as they appear. We're just looking for that flexibility to be able to offer that if someone comes in with a great extensive deal of experience that can fall either in the mid or closer to the max, or maybe even closer to the lower end, depending on their experience.
Thank you.
I make a motion to be approved.
Second.
Motion made second to approve.
I don't know if it's going to require an ordinance change, right? Because I think it won't, or will?
No, just
No,
because we had to do
it's a
that
union,
for the
it's a union. It's a union
Okay.
position.
Because it's in the PSA.
Which we got to. That's weird. Building
I agree.
commissioners,
That is weird.
PSA.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Councilor Bacon.
So I'm just wondering. So you're just coming because it's a transfer,
Right. So it's a line item transfer to
right?
get that line
So
item
it-
to the.
So it's not under the ordinance if it's in the union, right?
Correct.
Right.
I
Which
didn't know
hopefully
there
we
was
can
the
change in the
same-
future.
I didn't know there was the same mid-range limitation within the
No.
union contract.
No.
So you just want to kind of have, I'm supporting it because you want to have the money to offer sort of the appropriate salary, but maybe you could check in with us, just if,
Oh,
for
absolutely.
nothing else, it's just as a
Yeah.
courtesy to, because now, will you have to do an MOU on the, whatever number you end up landing on with the union?
Like a contract of some kind, you mean?
Yeah, one of those, or?
An MOU to, no, because in the contract, that's the range.
Okay. Yeah.
And so as wherever I land in that range.
Okay.
Is fair game.
Okay. Now, because you're gonna have, whenever you fill the job, you do still have a half a year's salary in there. Okay.
Right.
All right. Very good. All right. So, on the motion?
On the motion to adopt, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We already taken it off the table, but the next item, item 16, is a $7,000 transfer that we've had with us since October. We did have Mr. Cody in to talk about this. It goes hand in hand with item number 19, which would be
So
a memorandum of agreement. This was a proposal, if accepted, that the building department would take over the weights, sealer and weights duties, knowing the history of, we haven't had a position, but this didn't go very far.
This you can
Get rid
take
of.
it off the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to take the $7,000 and return to the auditor.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved. And 19, I think we
Return to the mayor.
We return to the mayor. Or the law department if they want a copy of it. Am I correct, Tanya? Or I don't know if anybody's still with us.
You
Kathleen,
can withdraw
Mike?
it, but I would send it back to the legal department so they know where
Yeah.
it stands.
Yeah. Law department.
Okay, we'll return for purposes of accountability to the law department unless they tell us we're wrong. This is the memorandum of agreement with the PSA, in particular for Mr. Cody, and that department would take over the additional duties of the sealer of weights and measurements. And at the moment, it's,
Well, we're going to soon have a candidate. We'd have to train them up, but
that's
on the candidate.
Yeah, but this was an option. We knew you were thinking of other options, so I think we can just return it. Law Department, we okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you. I saw the head shake, yes.
We read lips. We read lips.
Zoom lips. On that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And then we have the two other transfers within this department of $20,000 and $20,000. Mayor Tanya, can you walk us through this?
I'm gonna let the mayor do this one.
Oh, that's right. This was, you're talking about this today. It's previous fiscal year bill. You have the bill in front of you, the invoice, assuming, the old bill.
Oh, let's see.
So any old bills have to go in front of the legislative body for approval to,
No, we're still on the building department.
20 grand for the building department.
There's
What are we
two
doing?
requests,
Two different
they're
dates.
separate. $20,000 and $20,000 into contracted services. I think the contracted services is because we don't have the positions filled within the building department.
Oh, okay,
And
I'm
what
sorry.
they use,
No,
what they
so-
do is they hire retirees
They do
or other
have-
people, yeah.
We do have a building inspector who's helping out as needed. And also,
I think you have a visitor, Mayor.
Huh?
You have a visitor?
Oh, it's my daughter.
Yeah. Oh, we're breaking in. Come on in. You're always welcome.
So yeah, that's so that we can plug in the gaps and keep the work going, the workflow.
But excuse me for 1 second, did Mom send you with a message? Hurry up.
This is the last, so we're almost done.
Thank you. Very, very beautiful, and very polite. Nice job, Mr. Father Mayor.
Yeah.
Father Mayor.
I can't take all the credit.
Any questions?
So two.
That's fine. Yep, we've discussed these before. These are just coming through. So I make a motion to approve both.
Motion made second to approve both transfers. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, any opposed, so
Aye.
moved.
And we-
Now we have the final one, the bill for Wally. Take it off the table for discussion.
Yes.
We've done this a couple of times. We're just looking for some explanation that it's legit, that someone has overseen this request to pay the bill of $9,705 to Wally Computers for it's a prior year bill. We're being asked to use this year's monies.
Yeah, so just looking at this, it looks like to me, I mean, when I read because this was somewhat before, this is a bill that didn't make it into, when you're transitioning at year end from one fiscal year next, just by looking at the bill date, June 9, it didn't make it on time for the warrant before the cutoff date. When I read Logic Monitor License Service Basic, this is part of the annual agreement that we get invoiced. I think with Wally at the time, was it monthly or quarterly? I'm assuming it was monthly. So this is the 12th bill of that fiscal year that just never got paid.
And we no longer have Wally, as I understand.
Oh, that was one of the first changes we've made when we came in.
Now, that was their last bill. I'm assuming, was this at the end? It was-
Now, I didn't speak to Wally, I didn't look into, but just from experiences dealing with ITs when I was in my previous, it's very similar layout. And considering that the date of this invoice is June 9, June 30 is the cutoff date to pay these bills when you're transitioning to new fiscal year, so this probably didn't make that period.
Understood.
So it
But
becomes an
I
old
think
bill.
the question isn't prior year. I think we all got that. It's just that because we
Yeah.
lost Lori and we had no one, to really say that, yes, this is the actual amount that we owe.
And then there were a lot of changes, a lot of moving parts during that time.
We'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
But just know that later, as we get closer to year end, because if we're going to pay this bill with current fiscal year money out of the IT budget, later we'll be looking for a transfer from somewhere to cover our today's bills, because we didn't budget $30,000 in this fiscal year. You know what I mean? So, but that'll be a later discussion.
I mean, I was going to say something to Yoni when he said that he'll be on our next finance committee agenda, which hasn't been set yet. The date is set, and I would not say the same thing to the mayor that somewhere down the line you'll be on the agenda again.
Somewhere down the line, closer to the year end.
No problem.
Time of the year.
No problem.
We will always listen to proposals. Any further discussion? Everybody comfortable?
Very comfortable.
Everybody comfortable? Is the auditor comfortable to pay this? On a motion that we allow this year's monies to pay last year's bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, because I got to be in Bristol at 8 tomorrow.
Look at you.
No problem.
Merry-go-round stuff, though, it's good.
Oh, okay.
Oh,